On to part two. Okay. Yeah, the reason, this is going to go up a little after the first one. Now, when I left off the last part, I was talking about my friend from a while back. And, he basically, oh my god, he was determined to lie to get out of the end of his relationship when he was trying to come out. Now, mind everyone, what he was trying to do is not an easy thing, so I'm not going to sit here and say it's simple. That's a load of crap. But what I will say is it's still cowardice to do that, because if you truly, care about somebody, you're gonna most likely respect, that, they wouldn't want to be hurt. You're probably gonna respect that fact. So that's what left me baffled, and he was just like, I care too much, and this, that, and the other thing, and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, if you care so much about it, you're not gonna lie. So that drove me a little loopy, but again, not gonna say what he's going through is easy. I mean, it sucks that the world can so still misjudge people and prejudge them and just say, act like bigoted fools. It sucks, but in the end, the truth he wasn't saying was holding him back, like the feelings inside of him, in other words, like, were holding him back from living his full life. Between parents who were out of town consistently, and me and his brother had told him, if things don't, for whatever reason, go well, I told him, you can come live with me for a few days if you really need to. His brother told him, you can get an off-campus apartment, or he can even live with him if he wanted to move to a different school, change the schools, and he could live with his brother where his brother was living. I mean, and we all, just sometimes, it's the shit people go through that compounds on top of it, and it snowballs, and it eventually, the house of cards eventually comes crashing, in other words, if someone maintains some bullshit like that. And that's the unfortunate thing. A lot of people choose to. Why, I don't know. I'm not entirely clear on that, because I myself, well, holding stuff in as bad as it is. That's very bad. Especially with stuff like that, of that kind of level, like deep stuff like that. It'll ruin you. Because at one point, I basically, in a sense, I got in his head, and I don't know if that irritated him or not, but it seemed, because I borderline knew what he was thinking. I'm just like, do you really think you can change who you are as a human being? Like, in other words, something like that. Like, it's one thing. Let's say, hypothetically, someone has, they like eating sweets so much it's hard for them to stop. Now, that you'd go on most likely, depending on the person, but most likely, and more often than not, you would put someone on a gradual thing where they eventually wane off said sweets. Or, say someone's depressed. You would find the source of said depression, and you would try and figure out what's doing it, and then you would, you would go from there. And those things are fixable and can be changed, are changeable, whatever you want to call it. And that's why I made one of those comparisons to him, something to that effect. And I told him, do you think what you have can be... I'm like, you're only lying to yourself by going out with that girl. And just like the other one, he's like, I know, I just... See, he was just... It's the struggle more than anything. I hate to... Oh my god, I really say struggle. Jesus. I'm going to turn into a Facebook or Instagram person. My god, that's not good. Mind you, any of you people, I have no Instagram. I have no such things. I don't even have a Twitter anymore. I think I closed that pretty much. I despise all of that. I have a Facebook, which obviously I won't give out, but that's beside the point. Considering most everyone on planet Earth has Facebook. And that's not an overstatement either. It's the scary part. But yeah, so I think whatever else he was going through kind of made him really, which sucks, to feel like that and to feel like, you're going to be judged and like, whatever, like almost like alone, like, you're kind of like you can't open up about it. And again, he found the people that he could trust, me, his brother, and 2 of his other friends. If you can, that's to say, if you can make between 3 and 5 good friends in your life, you're doing pretty damn good. Like really good friends, because that's more than some people can say in this world, because it's hard. And the way, the level that people trust each other even has changed drastically. I mean, it just has. I mean, it's just, and it's sad to an extent, but at the same time it's understandable. So it's just, it just sucks. And thankfully, I just, because and people may say, why are you saying stuff like this? Why have you gone back to this story? I'll explain. Because I have a feeling, and I watch too much Death Note, and I can get into people's heads when, they don't think I can. And so I'll explain to anyone who watches this. It's very simple, really. I just absolutely despise people who bully others. If they bully others without just cause, and there's really no just cause anyway, you're a jackass. Plain and simple. You're a tool. That's why. And because I know what he endured, and I know if anyone else is going through that or something like that, and they're afraid or whatever, you just got to find someone you can trust and maybe just let it all off. Let it out, Don't keep it in, because it only gets worse the more you do that. It's horrible. I mean, him and one other person I know are actually out. Well, the other one's not even completely out. He's not out to his parents. There you go. Which is like, so you can imagine what a process that is. And when you talk to someone about that, it's like, oh, that's just fun. But in a sense, it's understandable. It also depends on age. But still, it's like, eventually the truth's going to come out, or the house of cards is going to go like this. It's going to collapse. Like, yeah. But I really don't understand it. And I understand, like I said before, how bigoted people can be and how, like, judgy, if that's even a word, judgy and, like, just misjudging. People make no sense sometimes. I tell everyone. But, and I had a little bit of squash sex on that for a minute, but no. And that I butchered that horribly. Yeah, if you got someone you can trust, go for it. That's the key. That's the key to being free. Like, that's really, and it sucks, like, that I had to experience that with a friend of mine to know all this stuff, but sometimes you gotta actually experience things to, see what they really are. If you don't, you will never know. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of just my 2 cents, on stuff like that, because I'm not a fan of seeing people get, like, picked on. It's mind-boggling. It's like stop. Stupid. It's just fucking stupid. But yeah, it's not good. So, but yeah, it's really dumb. Now, I don't know. I think that's what he was he's afraid of the whole judging concept. Like, but eventually it gets to the point where you can't be, I guess afraid of that more or less. But whatever. He was. That's, I wish no one would be afraid of that. It sucks people have to be or feel like they have to be. It's not fun. Anyway, so now I'm going to segue a little bit, because I wanted to do this last video, and I didn't, and that was posted about 2 hours ago, after I posted this. So basically, I'm going to go off a little rant about something, now, anyone who plays Pokemon enough knows that each Pokemon team has certain roles, okay? Now, here's the thing that irritates the living shit out of me. The people that I've seen in the 6th generation who use Ferrothorn as strictly a physical wall. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with Ferrothorn is, I will gladly show you. Because I'm sure there are some people who might not know. And phone, you're really going to do this to me right now. There we go. There we go. But yeah, Ferrothorn basically is, while this is loading, it is, in a word, one of the best walls in the game, and it has a very good defensive typing, Grass Steel. Now, as everyone knows, Steel got pretty fucked this generation, and it is now neutral to Ghost and Dark, meaning that it has, in the case of things like Metagross, Jirachi, Bronzong, more weaknesses. In the case of Ferrothorn and like Fortress, you didn't lose any, you didn't gain any weaknesses, I should say, but you lost resistances, which sucks. Especially with Fortress. Fortress has no special defense. So that's unfortunate. But we're talking about Ferrothorn. We're talking about the little pod person here. Now, okay, that's what a Ferrothorn looks like, everybody, okay? Everyone see that? It looks like a friggin' UFO with 3, like, little mini pea pod heads. That's exactly what it looks like, okay? Everyone see that? Despite the horrendous glare? Like, see that thing? With the weird eyes and all that? At least on, like, Credilla, you can tell where its damn eyes are. Now, basically, this thing, ironically, too, everyone look up, if no one can see the translation. The translation for it is Nutray in Japanese. That's not its actual name. It's actually, let's see, Notorido. It's Notorida or Notor. It's Notori or Notorida. Now, because Nutray just sounds stupid. It sounds like some kind of laser you'd use to cut open peanuts. So, Ferrothorn is a very good Pokemon. But when I see it used as a strictly physical wall, now, mind everyone before I start like going any further in this. Ferrothorn has, I believe, it's 133 base defense. And 100, I think, 17 special, 116, something like that. It has a lot of defensive bulk all around. But people, grass, steel, isn't that what I said? Now, what is steel weak to? Fighting, fire, and ground. Now, ground is covered by your grass type, because that's one of the few useful resistances besides water grass actually has. Otherwise, grass is shit. It's like you mix one of the most horrendous defensive typings with one of the best, and what do you get? You get Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn, however people want to pronounce it. Now, you're weak to close combat, Drain Punch, Mach Punch. You're neutral to Earthquake. So things like Landorus can do a lot of damage to you. Like 40-ish%, something like that. You're weak to Flare Blitz. You're weak to Fire Punch. Quad to those, actually, because you're grass and steel. So why, in the name of everything, would you run it as a physical wall? It resists water. I mean, to each their own, yeah. I'll say that. But you resist water, electric. You quad resist grass. You are resistant to things like Hyper Voice and Boom Burst. Those two, that's convenient. Because the only one who's really taking a Specs X-Plod Boom Burst, barring like a soundproof Pokemon, is something like Ferrothorn. That's specially defensive, because there's not much that's taking that crap. Because it's overpowered. You resist a lot of useful things, specially speaking. You resist Psychic, so like Psyshock, Psychic, whatever. You resist all that garbage. All of it. And it's like, no, it just rolls off your back. And you're obviously immune to poison, and you're immune to, poison dealing immunity? I think poison dealing immunity. But it just bothers me because, think about this. What are predominant in OU? Things like Conkeldurr are relatively predominant. Just things like Aegislash that run Sacred Sword still. Some of them do. Especially if running Swords Dance sets, they're almost guaranteed to run it. Physically defensive power is just not necessarily the best way to go. It's a way to go, yeah. You can run like my personal thing, I'll give my spread for this, is like 192 special defense normally. Max HP, of course. Got to max HP on a wall, because if you don't, that's really stupid. What is that? 252 plus 192 is 444. So that's, what is that? 64 left. And I put 64 in physical defense, just for a little padding there. And someone could say, well, then you're saying it shouldn't be a physical wall. Why put any in defense? Very simple. Because it can still take things like Mach Punches that are unboosted relatively well. It's not going to take shit like Drain Punch, though, for its life. Even if you invest a lot in defense from stuff like Conkeldurr, if Guts is active or something, you're not going to take it. And you're not going to be able to deal much damage back to it. Like, there's no, other than leech seeding it. I mean, there's no point. It's far better to take advantage, like I said, the fact that you can take on a Azumarill relatively easily, although he's a physical attacker, but still. Other than like Banded Superpower and maybe +6 like Brick Break, you can take him on relatively easily. Other stuff in OU, he can wall fairly well. Let's see. There's just a lot of things. I mean, Well, scrolling down the OU list a bit in my mind, I can understand to an extent why people would run physically defensive, because a lot of Clefables, especially, that's one of the main walls and one of the main culprits, run Flamethrower just to kill it, which supposed to make sense. The only way you're basically going to close to one-shot or one-shot it, because it's very bulky, like I said. But it's just odd. Like, And there's one other bit of... And think about this, too. Well, that's the other thing it walls. It walls Greninja, because most of them don't have Hidden Power Fire. It walls Rotom Wash. It can wall Keldeo, assuming it's not locking the Secret Sword. It walls Mega Gardevoir to hell and back. Unless that's Hidden Power Fire randomly, which would be strange. I don't see many with Hidden Power Fire. It walls Thundurus. Thundurus I and Thundurus T, assuming they're not specs or something very random. Thundurus... T can actually do a lot with even like Scarf Focus Blast, but it won't kill, and then you can just Leech Seed it up, Protect Stall it a little bit, and then just switch out to something. So even Shadow Ball, Shadow Sneak, Iron Head, Aegislash is wall completed by Ferrothorn. If you're running physically defensive, you're not going to take Shadow Balls that well, because you don't resist them anymore. So it just begs that, it makes me wonder, because Ferrothorn is one of my personal favorite walls in OU, and that's a lot of the reason why Fortress moved down, for one. Plus, for two, he lost, the resistance to Ghost and Dark, and special defense is trash. But Ferrothorn is just very good in OU. Particularly, there's a very interesting core that you can run. I mean, obviously, Ferrothorn with any fairy is good, because, fairies are weak to poison and steel. Ferrothorn eats them. But Gramble, of all things, is actually pretty good, because it can take the physical fighting moves. Like, it can take Conkeldurr very easily. Player Rough does a lot of damage. Whereas things like Clefable and Sylveon are going to struggle because of the Assault Vest most likely equipped to it. And the other thing is, to me, I don't want to sound very, very extreme with this, but running fully, and I mean fully physically defensive Pharaoh, 252, is very akin to, you may as well put specs on it, in a way. Because, and I joked with someone a while back about this, a friend of mine, that specs Ferrothorn would be about as effective as a Life Orb mixed Breloom or something so dumb. I don't even know. It is the dumbest idea, imaginable. Then again, there's probably worse. In a video, I saw Dragon Dance Charizard Y. Yes, Charizard Y, not X. Charizard Y with Overheat and Earthquake. Now, I've heard of that with a Latios. With a Charizard Y? Really? And if I'm feeling ambitious, I may link that video in the description, because that was quite comedic. It's bad. Don't do that. It's a bad idea, everyone. Very bad. Don't do that, ever. On Latios, you can get away with that. You can get away with full, special Dragon Dance just for the speed. You can get away with it. Even maybe Latias, I guess. Not Charizard Y. Don't do that. No. Ever. But yeah. So, basically, most people, the bottom line, give Specially Defensive Pharaoh a shot. I know there'll be a lot of people probably still, they like the sets they like, and that's fine. They like the physically defensive. But Specially Defensive, I find, and I think most people, if they look at its typing, will find, is probably superior in a lot of cases, if not 95, maybe 100% of cases. Physically defensive doesn't have the merits. In 5th gen, there wasn't as much power. Plus, you could wall powerhouses like Haxorus. Haxorus is not seen as much anymore in OU, so you don't have to worry about him as much. You more have to worry about that random Scarf Mence with Fire Blast. You're physically defensive, you're probably not living. You're specially defensive, you probably will, from full health. Because most Menses that are Scarfed with Fire Blast don't invest in special attack. They invest in physical, all the way. With 4 in special attack. And that will do, only 75%. And you can Leech Seed, Protect, blah, 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 rinse, repeat. Yeah. Anyway. So, I hope people enjoy this. And like I said, too, the other good part is, it walls the living hell out of Greninja. And Greninja is very hard to switch into as people know. Because you add an ability like Protean, which is very, very good, because it changes your type every time. And you add a move pool including Extra Sensory, Dark Pulse, Grass Knot, Hidden Power, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, U-Turn. I'd call that pretty damn good. But that'd be an understatement. Yeah, a big understatement, actually. So, yeah. But that's sort of just what I think of Pharaoh as a whole. I mean, he's really good, though. Like I said, if people really care, and honestly, this video I may link to, I think might be the same video, actually. There's a YouTuber called Swagalith. People haven't heard of him. Please, I mean, Jesus. If people are seeing this video, if you haven't heard of Swagalift, you're probably living under a rock somewhere. It was actually his core, I believe, in OU. It was like a Gramble Ferrothorn core with some water type. It was like Milotic or Blastoise or something. Very interesting core. Very, very cool. I liked it. I may give it a shot myself. So yeah. Anyway, hope people have enjoyed this video. Yeah. So this is MD865, and I may go to sleep in a few hours. Try to. Yeah, I'm out. Bye, everybody.